We'll begin a session with praise to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So welcome to the session on science of self-realization, in which we have been discussing a very interesting topic on knowing the purpose of life. So we have discussed to some extent on this topic. We'll continue our discussion today also. And this topic is basically a lecture delivered by Prabhupada in London in 1969. So Prabhupada is very nicely explaining to the public there who have assembled in the hall about what is the real purpose of life, what we should be doing in human form of life. So all these teachings and all these sessions we're having is by the inspiration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of Iskcon and worldwide Hare Krishna movement, because of his wonderful collection of these various teachings in the form of audio and written form, which is available for us even today, by which we're able to access the most valuable Vedic wisdom and apply them in our lives. So we acknowledge this and we express our gratitude to Prabhupada and move forward. So in the previous discussion on the same subject, we have understood, Prabhupada began the talk by telling, what is meditation? What is self-realization? What is meditation? Right? So meditation basically means to understand who we are actually, understanding that we have an eternal relation with God, and trying to have that consciousness always. Right? Self-realization basically means that you realize that your spirit soul, you are not simply the body. Right now, the whole world is going on in the bodily conception of life. So self-realization means to realize who you are actually. Right? So this is how Prabhupada began his talk by giving the definition of meditation. And when you talk about God, the conception people have is that God is dead, or I can't see God, or I can't perceive God. So He is not visible to me, to my eyes. So Prabhupada starts the subject matter in a very nice way, telling how the modern day people, if you ask anybody, who is God, they don't have any answer, proper answer. They may say He's a power, He's some very invisible energy. Now, Prabhupada gave example of how you're all sitting on a chair or on a cushion. That cushion has some relation with you. It is holding you and you are sitting on it. So likewise, anything and everything in this material world is created by God, and we have an intimate relation with God, which right now we have forgotten. Right? So these statements like, I don't know God, I don't have any connection with God, God is dead, these are all insane statements, because we don't have the proper understanding of our real identity. Right? So Prabhupada gives wonderful examples of how there are so many things around us in which we see God's energies are working so perfectly and swiftly. He gives example of how when we see a beautiful butterfly, how nicely every wing is symmetrically painted. So nicely, it looks so beautiful. It's like when you have to paint a butterfly on a canvas, it takes so much of time. And definitely it will not be 100% perfect. But with regard to wonderful creations around us, it may be a butterfly or a beautiful bird or any aspect of this material world. How are these things coming up? Is there no creator behind this? And with little more intelligence, with little more introspection, we can understand, yes, there is a creator, there is a person behind this. Otherwise, how will these wonderful creations come up? There's a man behind it. This is exactly what Lord Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that behind all these wonderful creations in the material world, he is supervising them. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate characharam. So this is one aspect of triggering a thought about the creator. There must be a person behind this wonderful creations, wonderful things going on in the material world. And many aspects, like the summer is over and we have rainy season started. Who has ordered, or rather who has given this direction, how it should happen? Even for that matter, every day sun is rising and setting. Somebody should be controlling it, right? Somebody should have told sun, oh, this time you have to rise, this time you have to set. So these things, like this, many things, many aspects in the material world are working so perfectly and swiftly, which all points out to the important aspect of a creator behind this creation, right? So the question will be, why are we ignorant about God? Very nicely, Prabhupada says, we are ignorant about God because right now our existence or our situation is covered by the modes of nature. Modes of nature is the energy of Krishna, which is covering our real knowledge and bewildering us that you are the body. So this ignorance is covering our heart. And this is the reason why we are ignorant about God. And why this covering has happened? Because we wanted to forget God. Right? So God has provided us a situation wherein we have forgotten him and we are assuming that I am this body and everybody else is bodies, and we're all trying to become God in this material world. So this is what Prabhupada says is the contamination in our heart. This is called the tendency to lord over in the material world, boss over the material world. I am the master of all I survey. I am the lord of whatever I see. This is the ignorance or the contamination in our heart which is covering us, because of which we are not able to know that I am actually part and parcel of God, Krishna, but I think I'm independent of God. I don't have any connection with God. So such absurd thoughts are coming in our consciousness right now, or we are living in that conception right now, and there is no God. Basically, it's sort of a madness which we have taken over coming to the material world. So the various different religions across the world, across various different practices, there are different processes to remove this ignorance, this contamination from the heart. Right? Different processes were recommended. Prabhupada says that process of karma means doing good activities by which you will come to the point of understanding that life is not simply doing anything and everything. We have to be very systematic with regard to see that our future life, we are responsible for our future life. So do activities which is as per the recommendation. By activities of karma, gradually you cleanse your heart or you clean your contamination. That is one process. Whereas Prabhupada says this is not very practical presently, even though people may know This is good, this is bad, but how many are following? Then there is a process of what is known as meditation process. Meditation also, as we discussed initially, to analyze first of all carefully, who am I? What am I? Am I this body? Am I this hand? Am I this, head? Finally, you don't say that I am not this any of these bodily parts. I am the owner of these parts. Who am I actually? So like this, going into the analysis aspect of who you are actually and trying to understand about the self is meditation process. Such a critical analysis of things is not also very practical for people in this age. And then comes the process of empiric understanding or the jnana process, wherein you have to get into details of many studying many philosophical books of wisdom, consult people who are well versed in the subject matter, understanding about the reality of this world. But again, not a very practical way of cleansing the heart, because all these are authorized processes. The karma process or the dhyana process or the jnana process, all are authorized processes. Dhyana basically is yoga, one of the Ashtanga yoga process. But the easiest process which anybody can adopt, a simple and direct process, is chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, which Prabhupada has been repeating in his talk from the beginning. But if you can somehow chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is the easiest and the best process, this will immediately start the process of cleaning your heart. Why cleansing is required? Because right now we are ignorant about our own identity, who we are. And because of wrong identification, we are doing so many other things which is not supposed to be done in our life, because of which we are getting entangled. Right? So this is the whole subject matter which we discussed in the previous session. Let's move forward. And Prabhupada says how our ignorance in this world has put us in a situation wherein the material life, which is like a forest fire. In the material world, no one wants misery, but it comes. And why the situation? Why? Because we have a mistaken identity. We don't know what is the purpose of life, and we're doing so many other things, which is putting us in a situation of complete confusion, perplexity, right? And material world means no one wants misery, but it comes. The nature of the material world. When you're in the material world, you have to face all these difficulties or problems. Krishna certifies this material world as a place of misery, and it is temporary world. Dukhalayam ashashvatam, he says. Unexpectedly, like a forest fire that starts without anyone's striking a match, it comes. Right? Situations of life are such that we don't want problems. We don't want situations of trouble, but they come nevertheless. That's how the material world, that's why it's called. It's like a forest fire. Prabhupada gives few wonderful understandings, examples. No one wants a war, but war is fought. No one wants fighting, but there is fighting. Right? I didn't want to fight with my children, but fighting has happened. No one wants misunderstanding, but there it is. This is how the material world is. So it is called material life is like a forest fire. Why? Because this is like a blazing fire in the forest. And how this example of forest fire is very appropriate. Why? Because when the forest fire starts in the forest, it is not happened by anybody's deliberate action. It has happened by the friction of dry wood at one point of time. And how, why, nobody can figure out. Not that somebody has gone and put a matchstick there and there's a forest fire. No. We cannot trace out the reason for the problem. And when there is forest fire, the situation is so much miserable that every living entity in the forest is aggrieved. Everybody wants to run for shelter, and everybody wants to have a safe place for food. This is the situation. So why why these problems in the world, like war, fighting, misunderstanding? This is because world is compared to a blazing fire in the forest. A very important point which we need to go deep into this thought of this material world situation. And with regard to forest fire, this cannot be extinguished by fire engines. No, any number of fire engines come, it cannot be extinguished. Recently there was, not recently, some time ago, the forest fire in Australian forests. So no amount of extinguishing by the fire engines was possible, right? This blazing fire of problems cannot be extinguished by our so-called advancement of knowledge. No, that is not possible. You can say we have so much advanced in science, technology. We have up-to-date, fire engines which can, jet out so much of water, so many other things. But forest fire especially, it's not easy. Maybe some other fires in the city with regard to some building catching a fire or something like that, maybe that can be doused, but not the forest fire. Just as one cannot extinguish a forest fire by sending a fire engine or by bringing some water, the problems of our life cannot be solved by material processes. This is the point. So we are in the midst of many problems right now in the material world. And why these problems? Because of our ignorance about God. It's a very important point we have to sink in our consciousness. Unless our situation is that of ignorance about God, our suffering continues. We have forgotten our relationship with our Supreme Father. Then we'll be loitering in this whole world, taking different types of bodies, and life goes on like this with suffering. Right? So, no amount of any contraction or remedial measures to extinguish the forest fire is not possible by any human endeavor. Right? That is what Prabhupada says, material processes. I'm trying to solve my problem this way, trying to solve the problem that way. The wars are all going on, so many wars. Every day we hear the headlines. These two countries, war going on. These two countries, war is going to start. Why so? If we are also educated, we are also, good people, thoughtful people. Why these wars are going on? Why this misunderstanding is going on? So Prabhupada gives some more wonderful examples from the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, examples of forest fire of material life. Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, the father and mother are not actually the protectors of the children. He gives three wonderful examples. The first example he gives is about the father and mother. The parents are actually supposed to be the protectors or guardians of the children. The father and mother take care of their children. That is their duty. But they are not the ultimate protectors. Very important point. The parents are not the ultimate protectors. They may, give all the maintenance, all the comfort required for the child. But can they really protect the child when it is, when the child has a great danger of life and death? No, it's not possible. When nature's law calls the child, the father and mother cannot protect him. Right? It's a very obvious point. In our family also, I may be caring for my relative very well, my parent or my children, but when there is a call from higher authorities, nothing can happen. Nothing can save us. Nobody can save. Right? Therefore, although generally it is considered a fact that the father and mother are the protectors of the child, actually it is not a fact. Right? So how long you can protect? Somebody may be dependent on us. Oh, this person will save me, this person will protect me. But how long? How much time is the point? So this is the very wonderful perception. First example which Prahlad Maharaj gives, no matter whatever best comforts and best facilities the father and mother can give to a child, but they cannot assure that child will not die. Right? Then second example Prahlad Maharaj gives is about a very safe ship. If someone is sailing the ocean and he thinks he has a very nice boat, will that protect him? No. Still he may drown. Right? We have the example of Titanic. It is all advertised as though it is the best of the ships with a lot of safety measures taken, and nobody, nothing in this world can see that some disaster will happen. And the world's who's who, rich people and very prominent personalities across the world, they boarded the ship and they wanted to, experience that wonderful voyage, first voyage of the huge ship. But the very first voyage, as soon as the ship began its journey, it sank. Right? It drowned. It's a big, thing in history. We know, right? So like this, even the safest of the safest ships, which you think I have all the safety equipments, all the safety measures, but it cannot guarantee that the ship will not drown. And in the modern context, Prabhupada gives the example of airship, aeroplane. A nice airplane is flying in the sky. Everyone is safe. But all of a sudden it crashes. Right? Nothing material can protect us. It's a practical example. Not only airplane, nowadays even we're traveling on road in our vehicles. Anytime anything can happen. Right? Road accidents have become very common. Or even, why road accidents? Even you're walking in a street or walking somewhere, somebody can come from behind and hit you. Right? Over. So like this, the world is such that anytime anything can happen. The father, mother, or guardians, they think, oh, I'm going to protect my subordinate. Not possible. The best of the arrangements you have, with best of the equipments, oh, I'm very safe in this car. There's a lot of safety measures in this. There's a seat belt, even the behind seats, very nice seat belts are there. Can you guarantee that you'll not die? No guarantee. Right? That's the point. Next, Prabhupada gives example of third example. Suppose someone is diseased, he may engage a good physician who gives good medicine, but that will not guarantee that he will live. A very important point. Right? I may have the best of the doctor, best of the medicine at my disposal, but that doesn't guarantee that my disease will be cured fully, or I'll not die. Right? Because generally we put a lot of faith and trust with regard to the different arrangements we have made. Oh, I know this best hospital. The doctor is very good. He's my best friend. He's going to really help me, save me. You may have that internal confidence within you. But does it guarantee that one will not be again diseased, or one will not die? Is the point. So, very nicely, Prabhupada says, the disease, the different ailments which you go through, no guarantee that a good physician and good medicine will cure your disease completely. So, Prahlad Maharaj says, then what is the ultimate guarantee? Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, if you neglect someone, nothing can protect him. Right? Prabhupada makes a nice statement from the Vaishnava understanding. Mare Krishna rakhe Krishna mare ke. Means, if Krishna want to protect someone, nobody can harm that person. And if Krishna want to kill someone, nothing in this world can protect that person. Right? That is the whole thing. So it is Lord's will, Lord's mercy, grace. If Lord wants to protect someone, it is that person is somehow protected. And doesn't want to save someone, is whatever, no matter whatever situation you have, whatever the safety things you have, it will not protect him. This is the point. Which means we are dependent on Lord's mercy actually. But we are thinking we can, let me independently do things. So we have been discussing on the aspect of how this material world is like a forest fire. And we in this material world are experiencing the intense heat in the form of troubles, miseries, problems, perplexities, complexities, and going on in this material world and trying to counteract them and adopting many measures to see that the problems are solved. Our whole life, if you analyze, we're trying to mitigate these problems. Our life is only full of that. This problem over, okay, one more problem has come up. And because of solving this problem, 10 more new problems have come up. First, go on solving them. That is how life, our life is. And why this problematic situation? Why? Because we have forgotten God. We have forgotten Krishna's, our eternal relation with Krishna. That is the problem. That contamination is so dense and thick right now that we think, oh, I am independent. I can figure out, I can do something. I can do on my own things. This is what is the contamination in our heart right now. And this has to be cleansed. So, Prabhupada says, what is the solution then? The situation in the material world is so much of complexity and so much of miserable and very intense painful situation. What is the solution? So Prabhupada says, it is actually Krishna telling us to surrender. That is the only counteraction. It is a practical experience with regard to the material world that it's very problematic world. Anybody's life you ask or just speak to them, they'll have so many problems. So we can invent so many methods to solve the problems presented by the laws of material nature, but they are not sufficient. We can, find out, we can figure out, oh, by this I'll solve the problem. By this disease is going to be solved. But with that solution, 10 more new problems will be there. That's how the material world is. So they will never solve all the problems, nor will they give actual relief. This is the fact. This is the reality. Right? In the material world, the problems can never be solved. Right? Just like, we see every day, if you simply read newspaper one day, you will see how to solve one problem, they adopted one solution. There should be a common entrance test for all the students who want to go to professional courses. That was the thinking, and government is moving that way. But now one more new problem has come up. There is a lot of malpractices going on in the system of a common entrance test. There are some middlemen who are trying to leak the papers and they're trying to make money out of it. So many such allegations, and it's going on. And because of this, the students' future is under question. What to do? Getting delayed. So like this, one solution you find, you get for a problem, then there's 10 more problems. How to solve that? What to do? This is how material world is very complicated. You will never be able to solve the problems in the material world from the materialistic point of view. That's the point. So this is the truth, reality. Therefore, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya, this external energy, is very, very strong. No one can surpass it. It is almost impossible. The statement in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. My material nature is my energy, not easy to surpass. It is very insurmountable, Krishna says. Mama maya duratyaya. Duratyaya means not easy at all, not very difficult, very tough. Because it is my energy. She is my energy. No one can surpass it. It is impossible. Then how can one get free from this material nature? What is the way? The way is Mam evaya prapadyante maya metam taradyate. Krishna says, simply by surrendering unto me, one can get relief from the onslaught of material nature. This is a fact. So we discussed until now that we are in a situation of problematic condition, wherein miseries, we are suffering and we are facing the miserable situation moment to moment, right? And any counteracting measures at our level, at our in figuring out through our advancement in science technology, cannot give a permanent solution. It can give maybe some stopgap arrangement, stopgap, some patchwork solution it can give, but not a permanent solution, right? So the permanent solution is only possible, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that you have to surrender to me, and that is what is going to relieve you from all problems of this material world. Surrendering means you are following what Krishna wants us to follow, because that's the problem. That is the root problem of our material problems here. Material misery is what we're going through. The root problem is we have forgotten God. We're ignorant about God, right? We discussed on this point. So we have to cleanse the heart to learn what is our relationship with God, right? So unless we come to this point that we have eternal relation with God, we have forgotten God, these problems will continue. So what is the, Prabhupada gives a nice perspective of present day civilization is called godless civilization. It is afflicted by what is known as jaundice, right? Jaundice is a disease wherein the liver malfunctioning, and there is a bile secretion is not happening properly, because of which there is a lot of metabolic ups and downs in the body. The jaundice of a godless civilization. What is that? Prabhupada says in the Katha Upanishad, it is stated, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. It's a Vedic statement. The Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, or the Absolute Truth, is eternal. God is eternal, and we are also eternal. It's a statement telling how we are all eternal entities. Nitya means our existence is eternal. And we're all small particles of God. And God is the Supreme Personality, is Supreme Eternal, which means our situation is not that of going through suffering and going through this repeated birth and death. If you're eternal, you should ask this question, why we are subject to death? Why we are subject to old age? Why we fear that, oh, I'm getting old, I'll die one day. Why this fear? Because we have accepted something else as fact. That is called illusion. And accepting this body as ourself. That is the problem. We are not trying to understand that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. So, the Vedas say that Supreme Absolute Truth is eternal. We are also eternal. But right now, situation of temporary situation of birth, death is all because we have accepted a godless path. That's the reason. But the Vedas indicate that he is the supreme living creature. He is not dead. If he is not living, how is this world working? Right? So Prabhupada is again making the point. If people say, I don't have relation with God, I don't know anything about God, God is dead, they're all absurd statements. If God is not living or God is not existing, how so many aspects of this material world, many wonderful aspects of the material world are going on? It's all happening automatically. It is wrong. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, under my supervision, things are going on. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Svyate Sacharacharam. So we have to consult the books of wisdom, Bhagavad Gita, most important literature for our human society. In the Bible also it is said, God created. This is a fact. Any scripture you take, this is what the scriptures mention. So no, not that at one point of time there was a chunk and that this happened and then that. No. A modern way of presentation of things about creation. There was one big chunk and it exploded and this world was created. First of all, where that chunk came from is the question. And how it exploded, next question. Like this, many, some absurd type of a presentation about this creation of the world, which is not actually reasonable, logical, or scientific, is presented and it is accepted as science in the present day context. The Vedas tell us the actual facts, but we have to open our eyes to see. That's the point, right? The actual existential, philosophical understanding of what in this world, what we are, why are we in this world, why are we suffering here, what is the solution for these problems, is all very nicely explained in the Vedic literatures, especially Bhagavad Gita. So we just have to read them, consult them. That's what Prabhupada says, open our eyes. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. This is the process of cleansing our hearts. Sooner we understand, realize that we are in a situation wherein, because of ignorance, because of not understanding the facts, we have mistaken our situation and doing something else. It is called contamination of the heart. So when you start consulting the Vedic literatures, Bhagavad Gita, then our cleansing of the heart begins. When we cleanse our hearts, then we will be able to understand what Krishna and the Vedas say. Right? Otherwise, simply reading Vedas from the academic point of view, for the sake of knowing, will not help. Right? When we are awakened, or rather come to the level of little awakening, yes, I'm inquisitive about the truth of this life. I want to know about the facts of life. Then Vedas, Vedic knowledge makes sense. Right? So this is called purification. Prabhupada gives example of jaundice now. If a man is suffering from jaundice and you give him a piece of sugar candy, he will say that it is very bitter, right? But if is sugar candy bitter, a healthy man will taste, sugar candy very sweet. No, it is very sweet. And the medicine for jaundice is that sugar only. The modern science prescribes this medicine. It's prescribed to the Vedic literatures also. For jaundice, the only medicine is sugar candy. So if you take great quantity of the sugar candy, then we'll be relieved from jaundice. That's the point. And when there is relief, then one says, oh, this is very sweet. Right? So this is how, a jaundice person is relieved from his problem of biliary, the liver problem. So the modern jaundice of a godless civilization can be cured by this chanting of Hare Krishna. So wonderfully Prabhupada is comparing the modern godless civilization is a situation of jaundice. Present civilization is called godless civilization because they think there is no God, or God is dead, or we are all independent, we can figure out things, how to be happy, our life will go on like this. Like this, many sort of a ignorant type of life we are living. Or, as Prabhupada says, many thinkers think after this life is over, everything is over. So like this, wrong understandings, misunderstandings are going on in this world because of godlessness. It's called godless civilization. So jaundice of the godless civilization can be cured. The only solution is chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So this chanting, initially people may think, oh, it is very bitter, how can I chant? Now no taste. Just like a jaundice patient, for him also, the medicine of sugar candy is bitter initially. But he goes on taking it continuously. What happens? The jaundice is cured. Right? Likewise, this chanting of Hare Krishna may seem to be not to my liking, or why should I chant? But this is the only way, no other way. Because we have discussed already the process of karma or dhyana or jnana, not practical. Hare namaiva kevalam, only process is chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. But as you go on chanting continuously, whether you like or don't like, then you see how gradually your heart is cleansed. Our identification of who we are is very clear for us. So, Prabhupada is going to explain to us now what happens when you start chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and what is our problem presently with regard to ourself. Our present problem is actually what is known as identity crisis. Who we are actually, we are not aware. As soon as one understands identity, his relationship with God, then immediately he becomes happy. Right now, I am identifying myself as this body or bodily relations, or this is my family, this is my community, this is my society, and life goes on this way. And one fine day, all that identifications which we have made with the different aspects from the material world is all finished, over. Right? Whom you think that this is my family, this is my community, this is my friend. One fine day, you are nowhere in the picture. The chapter closed. Death will see that all your relations and all your connections are all disconnected at one point of time. And where you're going to go, you also don't know. This is our situation right now. Right? I may be a very big man in the estimation of the material world presently. But when I leave this body and take one more body, which body I will take, I don't know. When I leave this body, people are all lamenting around you. Oh, this person left the body. He's died. So like this, the aspect of life's mysteries are all constantly, haunting us and bothering us. Even then, we don't realize the importance of our life. What is this purpose of life? So the whole chapter, if you see carefully, Prabhupada is again and again pointing out, without knowing the purpose of life, we have made a huge illusory type of a situation around us, wherein we are simply struggling, going through painful situations, and in an illusory way, we are trying to live our life. Which anytime, anything can happen. Right? So when you understand our real identity, that I am belonging to Krishna, I have a relationship with Krishna eternally, intimately, and immediately our happiness is returned, revived in one sense. We are so full of miseries because we have identified ourselves with the material world. What are the four miseries we constantly experience? Birth, disease, old age, and death. Right? This is what everybody is going through. So our question should be, why am I suffering like this? Why am I going through these miseries? Krishna says, this is a real platform of understanding knowledge. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. That's why we are unhappy, because we have identified ourselves with this material world. I am this body and people around me are bodies. This is the biggest illusion we are living in. Aham and mama. Anxieties and fearfulness are due to our misidentifying with the material world. Right? Just like, you watch a movie or some serial in television, and it's all situation is created such that you come to a situation of anxiety and fear. Likewise, in this life, a situation or some situations you are put into wherein you feel very fearful. Why? Because identifying with the situation. Right? Likewise, we go on life after life identifying ourselves with this particular life, particular body, particular situation, and we are going through this anxiety and fearfulness, right? Because of our forgetfulness of Krishna. So, Prabhupada says, other day I was explaining that one who identifies with this bag of bones and skin is like an animal. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. If I think I am this body, and body means made up of kapha, pitta, vayu, bile, mucus, air. Ayurveda says. I'm just a bag of this bile, mucus, air, if I think. And the bodily connections, like my family, my community, my society, are everything for me. If this conception you are living in, it's called animal conception of life. So, in that way, it is very important that we come to a proper identification of who we are actually. Right? So, identification with our body is going to bring you to the platform of any other living entity other than human. Because everybody is thinking like that. A dog, a cat, or any other animal thinks that he is his body. So, by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, this misunderstanding will be cleansed. Such a biggest benefit which you're going to get by chanting, you see. Simply chanting Hare Krishna will bring you to the platform of who you are actually. This identity crisis will be resolved. Cleansing of the heart means that one will understand that he does not belong to this material world. So, where does he belong to? He belongs to the spiritual world. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit soul. This understanding will dwell upon him, come upon him. As long as one identifies oneself with England, with India, or with America, it is ignorant. See how this body identification will create so much of deep-rooted ignorance in our understanding that, oh, I am this body, I belong to this country, I belong to this family. So much of ignorance will go on like this. Right? Because I'm born in England, so I am an Englishman. And this is my culture, this is my, like this, and everything goes on like a big drama with regard to what we are doing in our life. But actually, I am neither Englishman nor Indian nor American, I am spirit soul. This is the point. Today, you're an Englishman because you are born in England, but in your next life, you may not take your birth in England. It may be in China or Russia or some other country. So, it's possible, right? So, or you may not get this human form of body also. You may get an animal form, right? So today, you are a nationalist. You are a very great follower of your country. But tomorrow, if you stay in your country, you may be a cow being taken to the slaughterhouse. Possible, right? So, what is our real identity? This is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, we have to know thoroughly our identity. What is our identity? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the actual identity of every living creature is that he is the eternal servant of God. Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. This is our identity. Identity is to serve Krishna as eternal servant. If one thinks like that, I am no one else servant, my business is to serve God, then he is liberated. You see, very nicely Prabhupada is telling. This is the understanding we should have. I am no one else servant, my business is to serve God, then he is liberated. His heart is immediately cleansed and he is liberated. And after that, and after one has reached that, then all one's cares and anxieties in this world are over because one knows I am a servant of God. God will give me protection. Why should I worry about anything? Just see. All the, anxieties and all the fears and apprehensions you had about yourself and the world around you will go away, vanish. Right? So this is what happens when you come to the proper identity. And this happens by chanting Hare Krishna. You'll realize who you are. Just like a child knows that his mother and father will take care of him. He is free. If he should go touch fire, his mother will take care of him. Oh, my dear child, don't touch. The mother is always looking after him. Right? So when you come to this real identity that I belong to God, God is protecting me always. Anyway, even otherwise he's protecting. But the laws of nature, Krishna is, having with those people who don't want to perform bhakti. With devotees, with people who are trying to serve him, Krishna says, I personally take care. That's the point. And why don't you put your trust in God? Actually, you're under the protection of God always. It's just that we need to get this sense, oh, already God is protecting me. Let me acknowledge that he is protecting me. Let me, serve him. Right? That way, Prabhupada gives us understanding. God is already protecting everybody, caring for everybody. He is maintaining and caring for every living entity. People go to church and say, God, give us our daily bread. Right? And actually, if he did not give it to us, we would not be able to live. That's a fact. Right? God, if he restricts supply, whatever way it is, then we'll not be able to even live. Even God restricts air for breathing, we'll not be able to live. So God is already giving us without even asking so many things to us. The Vedas also say that one supreme personality supplies all the necessities of every other living creature. The Vedic statement. But one God is providing all the necessities. Eko bahuna viradhati kaman. Every living entity's needs, requirements are supplied by God. God is supplying food to everyone, from ant to elephant, and every living entity getting their food. We human beings have our economic problem. But what economic problem is there in societies other than human society? Other than, human society, there are so many other societies of bird society, animal society. Do they have any economic problem like ours? It's we who have created the problem for them also. And the bird society has no economic problem. The beasts have no economic problem. There are 84 lakh species of life, and out of that, only human society is very small percentage. Out of 84 lakhs, only 4 lakh is human society. And this one society is creating problems to everybody else. So they have created problems. What to eat, where to sleep, how to mate, how to defend. This is a problem we have. This is what we're trying to run around to figure out how to solve these problems. So these are problems for us, but the majority of creatures, the aquatics, the fish, the plants, the insects, birds, the beasts, and many millions upon millions of other living creatures do not have such problems. By the arrangement of Lord, all the living entities, it may be a bacteria or insect or a bird, animal, plant, everybody's necessities Krishna is taking care. Right? Where to eat, where to sleep, how to defend, and how to have mating, everything Krishna has arranged for every living entity. Nobody is feeling that this is my problem. Right? So they are also living entities. Don't think that they are different from us. Any living entity for that matter, having life symptoms, Krishna's creation. And they also have all these necessities of life being fulfilled. It is not true that we human beings are the only living creatures and all others are dead. Because there are some religions which say only humans have soul. Animals don't have soul, plants have no soul. It's wrong understanding. Actually, all living entities means Krishna has given an opportunity to live in that way because of their previous activities. And Krishna is maintaining them with proper food and shelter. Who is giving them food and shelter? It is God. Right? The plants and animals are not going to the office. They are not going to the university to get technological education, to earn money. So how are they eating? God is supplying. Every arrangement in the material world for all the different entities, God has made arrangement. He's supplying, maintaining them. Right? Prabhupada gives one wonderful example. The elephants eats hundreds of pounds of food one time. Who is supplying? Are you making arrangements for the elephant? There are millions of elephants. Who is supplying? So we'll continue our discussion further in our next session. Basically, Prabhupada is trying to tell us that when we realize how this material world is working, how we ourselves are dependent on God's maintenance, His supplies. So why don't you trust God? Without even you are asking, He's already maintaining you. He's providing you food, providing you various necessities of life. It's like every other living entity is taking care of you also. But if you acknowledge God is supplying, God is maintaining, and start understanding your relation with God, that is going to relieve you from all problems. That is the reason why this human form of life is there. You got human life for that purpose only. Sooner we understand this and start coming to this level of realization, that is called self-realization, and that is what is required for the human form of life. Otherwise, we'll continue like this. Maybe next life, what we're going to become, as Prabhupada said, we don't know. Again, you'll continue the cycle because you're not utilize the purpose of human life. Right? Simply you're utilizing it for animal propensities, then fine, become an animal again. Okay. So we'll conclude here. Anybody has anything to ask, discuss, or comment on today's discussions, we'll open the platform. Okay. No questions, no comments, then we'll close now. So thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.